welcome back to another episode of the Entrepreneur Lounge podcast. I've got a really fun guest here, David Bain. We've probably known each other for maybe close to a year now. Just networking about. I honestly don't remember how we met. It was just networking, and you got to know my business partner Matt through, I believe, Provisors. And one thing led to another, and we've had a great relationship ever since, helping a lot of clients. So, David, it's a pleasure having you.
Hey, I'm really excited to be here and happy to talk to you, and thanks for having me on.
Yeah. So explain a little bit to the listeners what you do, and so they can understand what you do a little better.
Yeah, sure. So I'm a business lawyer. What does that mean? That means that I help business owners, entrepreneurs, and executives to navigate the legal challenges that come along with starting, owning, growing a business. Um, you think of me as a boardroom lawyer, not really a courtroom lawyer. So I handle everything that has to do with how do you launch a business from starting with a great idea through hiring your employees to creating the contracts that you need, securing the financing that you need to grow your company, um, launching new products, maybe acquiring real estate, ultimately then to hopefully selling your company and making a lot of money one day.
Yeah. Okay. Awesome. Um, I want to ask you just a few things. You've held leadership roles, kind of as both an attorney and executive. Obviously, you're running your own business now. How do you balance? But how do you structure the balance between legal risk management and then strategic business growth? So growing the business, but also staying between the lines. How do you balance that?
Sure, sure. So you're right, and I think what makes me a little bit unique when it comes to business lawyers is that I've both been a outside attorney practicing at a large major law firm and corporate securities group, representing clients all over the country, to being an in-house general counsel. So I had an executive leadership role in a couple of large corporations, to owning my own businesses, um, including my law firm and other ventures that I've been a part of. So I've had leadership and ownership roles. So when I'm working with clients, I always strive first and foremost to provide them really good, sound, practical legal advice. But with my experience as a business owner and executive, I'm also able to help them bounce ideas and look at the strategic approach to resolving business issues. Of course, business issues are always up to the client to make those decisions. But I try to really couch my legal advice with practical sensibilities, at least around the business impact.
Okay. And with that, what are some of the biggest mistakes you see, structural mistakes or key legal mistakes that you see, these higher growth companies, what are they making early on? What mistakes are they making early on?
Yeah, it really it all starts with a solid foundation, right? Building a business is just like building a house. You want to get it right from the first cement that you pour, and that really starts with how do you set up the company. A lot of a lot of new entrepreneurs are excited, and they should be excited. They've got a great idea. They're passionate about what they were going to want to do. They believe in it. They've got a lot of energy and enthusiasm behind them. Oftentimes, it may be a couple of friends or former coworkers coming together to start this new venture, and they take that momentum and they run hard and fast. And sometimes they skip over some of the maybe more boring legal aspects of getting the business started the right way. And so, what does that come down to? For example, a lot of small businesses are organized as limited liability companies, and I have this conversation quite often with my clients. When you're organizing a limited liability company, it's very important that you draft a proper operating agreement or company agreement for the business,
Yeah.
uh, especially if you have multiple owners who are involved. That's not a document you just want to pull down off of a website and sign your name to. It really should be the playbook for how are you going to run your company? How are you going to make smart decisions? How are you going to resolve disputes? How are you going to handle financial aspects of the business? Like, when are you going to make capital contributions, and how does the responsibility for those contributions really work? And what happens if somebody doesn't make the contribution? And importantly, what happens if you ultimately need to wind up and break up the company at some point because you reach an impasse. That
Right.
document really serves kind of like a prenup in a marriage. It gives you a great opportunity to think practically and realistically and strategically about how you're going to run your business. And that's something that I really like to invest time with my clients doing up front and getting right for them.
Yeah, that's so valuable. So I can't just use Chat GPT to do that?
I wouldn't recommend it. I wouldn't.
Yeah, I wouldn't either. Um, you have a background as a CPA too. Do you see any crossover in maybe your prior career as a CPA? Do you see how that helps you maybe in your role
Yeah,
today
well, I
at
mean,
all?
as I said, there are very few, if any, legal decisions that you make in business that ultimately don't have some sort of financial impact on the
Yeah,
company, right?
right.
And so, yes, you're right. I have a master's degree in accounting, and I was a CPA for a number of years as well. And so, I it gives me I think an extra sensibility around again the financial impact of legal decisions and helping oftentimes to translate the legal risks into financial numbers that are sometimes easier for the client to understand.
Okay. Okay. I know you've worked in a lot of a lot of different industries and people that we've worked with together and I know there's people outside of that too, people that we've sent you as well. Are there any lessons you can carry over regardless of the sector or the industry they're in? Are there any carryovers or major differences?
Well, I mean, there. I wish to say I knew the secret to growing every business successfully, but there are some really common themes, right? First and foremost, I think that when I'm especially working with partnerships, I'm speaking to this because the vast majority of businesses launched in the United States are some sort of a partnership or limited liability company. It's really important that you are confident in the relationship with the people that you're bringing into that business, right? These are the people that you're going to be taking risks with, investing your time, your effort, your treasure, blood, sweat, and tears together. Um, and it's really, and you're going to be spending more time with them than you probably will the rest of your family. So it's really important that you know those individuals, you trust those individuals, and that you collectively take time to set up and run your business the right way from the very beginning.
Yeah.
Uh, you
Oh,
know,
I'm sorry. Go ahead.
yeah, I know. And I was going to say the other thing that's is so important is just getting the other basics right. That could be putting the right types of contracts in place for how you're going to work with your clients and how you're going to work with your vendors. Um, Ensuring that your financing that you're taking down is correct. I see a lot of companies that stretch themselves too thin, that get overextended with loan financing, when that's maybe not the right way to go about raising capital for your business. There are a lot of other great options, and so it's really important that they manage the financial aspects of the business carefully from day one.
Sorry to interrupt this great podcast episode, but I want to talk about today's podcast video sponsor. It's the Jones Group, CPA and Advisory. Their purpose as a firm is to lead and educate business owners, empowering them with knowledge and strategies to achieve clarity and confidence while alleviating the pain and suffering that hold them back from success. With core values like accountability, relationships, growth, preparation, and honesty, they're going to keep you in compliance and also make sure that you're getting the education that you need on how to run your business properly. Give them a call today. You can go to their website at thejonesgroup.us, the Jones Group CPA and Advisory. Now back to the podcast. Something I wanted to ask you, just because I know I've sent you a referral that I think you treated in this way. Are there some ways that early stage companies can almost think like an enterprise before they even get there to be better prepared?
Tell me a little bit more about what do you mean?
Um, Starting, because most companies they'll just start out as an LLC. Is there a different structure or anything that you would advise on earlier to be ready for when you become a major corporation or
Yeah,
major?
I mean, there are alternative structures. One of the nice things is there's also flexibility. Commonly, there's the ability to convert from one type of entity to another. And there are also regulatory implications and requirements that drive the decision of what type of company you organize. For example, um, businesses that provide licensed professional services, like physician services, need to be organized as a professionally licensed entity in their state, at least in Texas. That would be like a professional limited liability company or professional corporation.
Yeah.
They're also, you need to keep the end in mind, right? So if your goal is to sell the company within a certain horizon, then we want to look carefully at the structure of the business and the tax implications of that structure and how it's going to play out when you go to sell the business. Because you can take advantage of things like, qualified small business stock corporation structures, oftentimes as a way of capturing, large tax savings for certain types of qualifying companies. And it may be worth doing that rather than being an LLC or another type of entity from the beginning.
Right. Okay. Talk on, getting off of this a little bit, talk about your experience with networking, right? So you do a lot of networking with pro-advisors and you've been coming to the Entrepreneur Lounge. Kind of speak on your history with networking and successes and yeah, give some advice to people that maybe think networking isn't worth it.
I mean, well, I'll tell you this. If you are a business owner, then networking needs to probably be the most, the first thing that you are thinking about when you wake up in the morning, and the place where you're spending most of your time, especially as any sort of small business owner. Um, it is it's key to growing your brand, and it's for me personally, it's a lot of fun. I love helping people. I love connecting with other good, smart, talented resources that I can share with my clients. It makes me look great when I can bring my client to somebody like you, Garrett,
Yeah.
and Matt, and know that they're going to get exceptional service from a fantastic accounting firm. Um, that's such a wonderful resource to me.
Yeah.
So when my approach to networking is always with a giver's mindset. What can I do to help the people that in this room? If it's making connections for them, if it's bringing them a great client, if it's supporting them in their business in any way possible, that's what I want to do. And my experience is that always comes back and pays off.
It totally does. It took me not very long for when I started networking to realize that the more you give, the more you're going to receive. And that sounds so simplistic, but it just happens. It just really does. You can't
100%.
be you can't be thinking about how much am I going to get this month. It's no, how
Yeah.
much am I going to give? That's 100%, and it's hard for a lot of us to do because we want to just make money, right? But you got to think about it that way, right?
Yeah,
No,
yeah. It's not about selling yourself. It's always about
no,
how can I
no.
help these other
Yeah.
people, right?
Yeah, you can't sell yourself. No one's gonna believe that and buy that these days.
No,
It's not gonna happen. So, lot of changes coming right with the AI and everything. I'm sure you've already seen it impact your world. We've definitely seen it impact ours. Um, where do you see yourself over the next decade continuing to make an impact? I mean, we don't know what the next decade really has in store, right? But just from what you've seen, is there anything that you can touch on that
no.
maybe you kind of could advise people on?
It's really really interesting, and I'm thinking about this a lot. I've got two kids who are young high school students, and so they're going to be looking at college in the next few years, and they're already thinking about what are they going to major in, and they're asking for advice. And
Hmm.
it's really hard to say, what types of roles are going to be needed and in demand in 4 years, much less 8 years from now or longer. But in thinking about this, and I have spent a lot of time thinking about this lately, what I see from AI is the potential for tremendous amounts of intelligence
Hmm.
offered through AI. What I don't see is sufficient wisdom, which intelligence and wisdom are two very different things, right? Intelligence is knowledge of facts, and AI has a tremendous amount of knowledge of facts at immediate disposal.
Yep.
What it doesn't have is the experience that can only be acquired over 30 or 40 or 50 years of actually living in the world and interacting with other human beings and having to make tough decisions and
Yeah.
stand by those decisions and execute on plans and pivot and make changes when things don't go the way you expect them to, right? And motivate teams and drive business and really drive change in the world, right? That requires wisdom. And I think those are the roles that, you know, professional service providers are really going to be needed to help play in the future. And as an attorney, that's what I really look forward to. You know, AI can do some good things, and as an attorney, I find it to be a helpful tool.
Mm.
Far from perfect, but it does create some efficiencies. And the nice thing is, it enables me to spend more time focusing on providing strategic help and sharing wisdom to really guide my clients.
I 100% agree. It's a tool and it's not the end all be all, and you can't take every word and believe it to be 100% true, right? So, like,
Yeah.
I like to say AI to me is like, it does a little legwork for me to get something started, and then I'll take it from wherever it left off. It's not like I'm just going to draft something and that's what I'm sending to a client or whatever. It
Yeah.
does help you get at least a head start, which could save you hours, really.
Yeah.
So I've used it to help me draft PowerPoints and that stuff that like making a PowerPoint artistic. That's not something that we need to be spending our time on. So AI can do that, and that's cool. I love all that. So
I have yet to try that. I need to try the PowerPoint create generation.
yeah, yeah, or drafting a gigantic email. They can draft a giant email, and then I'll just go through and I'll edit and I'll change what I want to change. So
Yeah.
something like an email that could take you 30 minutes to draft, it'll do it in 10 seconds. So something like that, right? It's pretty amazing. So, well, David, I really appreciate you taking the time for us today, and I look forward to continuing to pass clients back and forth and assisting where we can with each other.
Yeah, 100%. Garrett, I really appreciate the invitation again, and thanks, and love to join you any other time.
Awesome. Thanks, David.